In your book, Jonathan, The Stepford Employee Fallacy, The Truth About Employee Engagement in the Modern Workplace, you talked about that majority of the employees are not engaged at workplace. So what 3 tips you can offer to employers to make organization more engaged place to work?
So there are many different ways that an organization can become more engaging through the actions of its leaders, but I think that these 3 points that I'm going to talk about would be the most effective. So the first is to cultivate a culture and environment of candid, frequent, multi-directional feedback. So what that means is top to bottom, bottom to top, and lateral communication. Right now, the modern workplace is not a safe place for employees to share candid feedback with their leaders. Leaders, HR managers love to hold a feedback mirror up to employees' faces to tell them areas needing improvement in their professional lives. But when employees turn the mirror around, things can get ugly. So what leaders need to do is encourage feedback, welcome feedback as a gift, and act upon it. They also need to make sure that their managers at all levels are accepting of that feedback. They also need to take steps to transition out managers who are more resistant to accepting feedback from their employees, because an engaging workplace has no room for leaders who do not accept feedback from their teams. So that's number 1. Number 2 is empathy. There is such an empathy shortage in the modern workplace today. Leaders treat their employees more like human capital instead of human beings. My book is full of examples of all the ways that employers callously and very foolishly disregard the needs of their employees. That is a huge mistake. Empathy drives engagement, whereas apathy, that really is a cause of disengagement within the modern workplace. Number 3, this might be controversial, but I think it will have a tangible impact on the bottom line as far as employee engagement goes. And this is to control executive compensation. So when I wrote my book at the time of publication, there are statistics citing that the average CEO earns 274 times the average worker's pay. So if you have an employee making $45,000 a year, they're making about $12 million a year. Now I think that ratio has widened even further to about 300 times the average worker's pay. So the question is, are these organizations doing so well as to justify such exorbitant executive pay? Based on the poor state of employee engagement in the modern workplace, the answer is no. With almost 80% of employees being disengaged in their jobs, it really doesn't look like employers are doing that great of a job of engaging their employees. So my recommendation is to control executive compensation for employee experience, meaning you modify the executive's compensation based on how engaged their employees are and how great that employee experience is. If the employee experience is not very good, the executive's compensation should be reduced, and the funds that would have been used to pay for their salary should then go toward remediating areas of employee experience that are most in need of improvement. That will give a tangible incentive for executives to execute on strategies that will benefit the organization as a whole, not just shareholders and not just those at the top. So those are my 3 recommendations.